Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
How about we go around and do introductions first of all, and maybe we can start with the people on the screen since I frequently forget their there. Want to start, Mary?
Sure. Hi, I'm Mary Hutchins. I'm a member of the board and the mental health subcommittee.
Thank you. And Kaki?
Hi, I'm Kaki Wunderlich, member of the board and member of the Developmental Disability Subcommittee.
And Larry?
Larry Roberts, member of the board and chair of the mental health subcommittee.
Thank you. And Heather?
Hi, I'm Heather Sanford. I'm the PROS program director here at Thomas County Whole Health.
Welcome. Thanks for coming. And
Thank
I
you.
guess we can go around the room now.
Hi, everybody. I'm Travis Winter, a member of the board.
Jessica Connor, member of the board and mental health subcommittee.
Randy Brown, County Legislature, and liaison.
Howard Reed, member of the board.
Jan Lynch, member, chair.
Sheila McHenry, member, vice chair, and member of the DD subcommittee.
Nicole Zulu, I am a board member.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hillary Riley. I'm the new clinic director.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And you probably know Harmony and Jeremy, everyone? Okay, I think so.
And then Sally.
Oh, is there someone new on there, are you saying?
Sally.
Sally.
Yeah, she's.
Oh, okay.
There's
Hi, Sally. Do you want to introduce yourself?
You're on mute.
Since we have a few guests and you're muted right now.
I'm Sally McConnell Janae. I'm a member of the Community Services Board.
Thanks, Sally. Okay, so let's see here. We went through introductions. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Minutes. It should be in the packet that you got as you came in. Do I have a motion to approve? Jessica, thank you. Second? Any discussion or edits? All in favor? Everybody on there? Good. Okay, good. Let's see, privilege of the floor. Any particular questions or comments? From board or guests at this time? Right. Board correspondence for announcements, which we don't have any that I'm aware of. Do you know of any, Harmony or Jeremy? No. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to hear from Heather, who is the PROS director, and is going to give us kind of an overview of whatever updates since the last time she was here.
Yes, and the last time I was there was a very long time ago. So we'll just start from where I have data, which is 2019. So
Wow.
if I can share my screen, looks like I have the ability. There we go. All right, slideshow. Okay. Wait, that's not how I want you to see it. Just kidding. Hang on. Pause. One moment, please. You'd think that I don't use Zoom all day, every day. There we go. Now you're seeing the whole screen?
yes.
Fantastic. Okay. All right. So PROS had quite a beginning starting in 2016. And I think I met with you all maybe my second year, so maybe 2017 or so. And we've grown quite a bit since then. And we weathered COVID very well. So I would like to share with you a little bit about how many clients we have currently and what our numbers have looked like over time, and then talk a little bit about where we're planning to go. All right. So this graph shows us the count of clients that have been active per year. So that means clients that we actually saw. So not just people who were referred but then didn't respond when we called them to schedule like a screening or orientation. These are people who we actually had contact with. And you can see like the numbers dropped from 229 in 2019 to 192 in 2020. And then we jumped right back up.
Hang on a second, Heather. Our audio just went out.
All right.
Sorry.
I can hear you if that's helpful.
And I can hear you.
And I can,
So it's just the speaker in the room then. Jeremy will figure it out, no doubt.
Check. Try the speakers one time here. This one right here. Try again, Heather. Can we?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Okay.
I think it's this one.
We'll try one more. Go ahead, test it out again.
How about now?
Oh,
All right, one more time, trying that. Go ahead, Heather.
All right, can you hear me now?
I don't know. All right.
Maybe that one, but.
Yeah, try the same. Sorry, Heather, try again.
That's okay, no problem.
Huh.
Going back as soon as he walked out.
But you know, we have these now, they're new. In the ceiling, there's nothing on the table anymore.
Just went around. Really fancy. He's up on the ceiling now.
As opposed to.
Well, I see that.
Okay. Try it one more time with the.
I can hear you the whole time. Can you hear me?
Heather?
Yes?
Go ahead, Heather.
You can hear me now? Yes?
Heather?
Yes?
Is there a way?
Well, this is entertaining for the people on Zoom.
Can that go up louder?
It looks like.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead, try it again.
Can you hear me now?
Which one?
It was the speakers one.
No.
Let's try the speakers one again, yep.
How about now?
The speakers one. That one, yeah.
You sound like a Verizon commercial, Heather.
Right? Can you hear me now?
That old
How
one.
about now?
Can you all hear toward the back though? It's pretty quiet.
I can talk louder. Is that helpful?
This could move up if you needed to.
Talk loud.
Just talk nice and loud, Heather.
Well, I'm all alone in the office, so I can just yell. Right. Thank you. So over time, we've been able to consistently increase the number of folks we've had who have both been referred and screened at PROS and also enrolled. There we go. So there looks like a difference between screening and enrolled, and I will explain a little bit about what screening is. Screening is when people come into PROS for the first 60 days and they just try us out. There's no commitment. They're not like signing up. We don't start assessments or paperwork until people decide they want to stay at PROS. It gives us an opportunity to get to know people a little bit and gives people an opportunity to see what we can offer and make sure that we are a good fit for them. And we had a number, almost 200 screeners last year, and we'll be on track to have probably that many this year. So people who came in and tried, Our enrollment has stayed pretty much the same, a slight dip last year, but is already starting to pick up again this year. Our regulations have changed a little bit, or they will be changing April 1st, with more of a focus on people working towards goals and trying to move even further away from the old continuing day treatment model where people just kind of came and then that was the expectation that you just come and do a little bit of groups and usually use pros mostly for socialization. So we're working more to help people identify goals around socialization, learn the skills, and then move out into the community and transfer the skills so that they can live their best lives, not just in our building. So one of the things that I think is really great about our program is the emphasis on employment. And not everyone is going to work. That's not in everybody's plan, and that's totally fine. But we have a good number of folks who work in the program who both receive services and then also might receive ongoing rehabilitation services. That's the little orange bars here. And those people, some of them may not actually come to programming during the day for groups. They really just work with the employment specialist. And this has created kind of some trouble for folks because they get a job and they're excited to get a job. And then taking a full-time job might mean that they lose pros altogether. So they lose their ability to come to groups, to be able to learn new skills and to maintain the skills they've learned, as well as they might lose like a lot of their social community because they went to work. And we didn't want to discourage people from working, but we heard consistently from folks that working, the hardest part of it was losing out on the ability to participate in groups and activities at pros. They would be able to keep working with their individual primary and also with Bruce, who's our employment specialist, but that's not as much contact as they were used to. So we have been working with the Office of Mental Health, and we have requested that they change our license to both increase the number of folks we can serve, increase our capacity to 120. And we have a little less than 100 right now enrolled. And also to allow us to be open one night a week until 7. So those added hours until 7 would allow us to run a group at 4, 5, and 6. And those groups would be specifically for folks who are working or who go to school full time. So those classes would be tailored towards services that folks might need if they're also working, like applying DBT skills to interpersonal struggles in the workplace. Things like that people would benefit from having more skill building in order to maintain their jobs. And also we would do a family dinner together and talk about how work is going. So we're looking forward to that, and we're hoping to be able to start that pretty soon. It just requires a little bit more work with the state because there's always lots of hoops to jump through. So we're looking forward to that, and I think that will also help increase the amount of folks who are interested in going to work, knowing that they also can maintain supports while they're working. Our staffing at Pros includes all of these folks. We're currently fully staffed. We have been consistently staffed since 2016, really, with slight breaks when people have left and we've rehired, but we've never had open positions for lack of ability to find someone to fill them. We have 3 people on staff who are social workers. Ariana works as a rehabilitation specialist, but she did get her license while she was working with us. So we have 3 rehabilitation specialists, 1 psychiatric social worker, an employment specialist. We have 2 peer specialists, one who's part-time and one who's full-time. We have a casework assistant, a part-time nurse, and then a part-time psychiatrist. We offered both of our peer specialists full-time, and Katie didn't want to work full-time. That didn't work for her life and what she needed in order to maintain her wellness. So she works part-time, and then Cinder, our other peer specialist, works full-time, giving people the opportunity to choose what works best for them so that they can also continue to maintain their wellness and talk with the other participants about balance and how that works for them. So I wanted to share just a few of the participant wins. This is just like the end of 2024 and 25. So just the last few months. And I won't read, I just put their first initial so that I could remember, but I'll just read out a few of them because I get pretty excited about them. And I think that people really just deserve to get credit for all of their hard work. We've had people complete their CASAC certification, secure their first apartment, working 32 hours a week, and sometimes even as a manager. That's the first real job too, and then working as a manager already. Securing a full-time position with alternatives, working full-time at Hotel Ithaca and securing permanent housing. Being able to land more than 3 paid professional speaking engagements for one person. Moving to full-time employment at CMC, another person working at Ithaca School District. Someone continuing their education and teaching at TC3. Full-time job at IMR Labs, also joining the bell choir and choir at church. Someone was hired at suicide prevention. Someone is working part-time as a personal aide. A participant who returned to working part-time at the Cornell store. And we have one person who secured a position as a peer specialist through Unity House and also was accepted to graduate school at Cornell. And this really just lists the like big wins. And there are wins every single day that we also celebrate with folks, like just showing up when you really don't want to. If you're really struggling with depression or it's a really hard day and you come anyway, we encourage people to come in their pajamas, just get here. And really allowing folks to understand that every day isn't great and we just keep going, we use our skills and we figure out what's the next right thing. So as I mentioned, some things we're looking forward to. We're working to increase our license, to increase our hours. If we move past 100 enrolled people, like up to 112, then we have to hire another employment specialist. That's like whatever the regulation requires. So that would be something that we'll be looking forward to. We're also working with, Hillary doesn't know this yet, but I told Harmony, we're working with the clinic to do like engagement circles, like which are part of restorative justice, but not necessarily restorative in nature, but to help us build relationships with the clinic and strengthen communication between pros and the clinic. And one of our staff is working with our participants to create an art show that we would be able to show, have art displayed in the lobby downstairs, like by the elevator, and have pieces be like rotating. So we're trying to start small. The participants want to have the first Friday night in the community already. And we're kind of trying to just start with, let's figure out where to put the easels and get art ready so that could be a potential. But the participants are really excited to be able to showcase their art and things that they've been working on while they're here. I'm happy to take any questions.
Heather, can you hear me?
I can.
Hi, Heather, it's Travis Winter. I just want to thank you for all the amazing work you do in the community. I absolutely
Thanks, Travis.
I adore the pros program. You help so many people. So thank you.
Thank you. It truly is an honor to work here and work with this program. Even on the hard days, I love them all.
Heather, I have a question. How long does an individual stay in pros typically?
So that's a really difficult question because pros really is personalized. So we have some people, just maybe 4, who were here when I started in 2016. And everyone else has been in and out through then. And sometimes people leave and come back if that's what they find that they need. But typically, people stay at pros as long as they have recovery-oriented goals that they're still working on. So they might end up working just in employment and maintaining their job, but benefit from skill building and supports. So it could be a long-term time with us, but we really don't want to encourage people coming and staying here, like being like stuck in the building at pros. So one of the things that's coming in the redesign is more incentives for us to get out into the community and to take people into the community to help bridge the gap between learning the skills and practicing them here and then applying them in the quote unquote real world.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Heather, this is Randy Brown. Thank you for the presentation. That's very encouraging. Could we get a copy of that? And
Sure.
also, it might be good to do this presentation to the Health and Human Services Committee, so they're up to speed on what's going on there. And also, how's your funding? Is this primarily state funding? Or do you have any concerns with funding?
Well, I don't know what the future holds with funding, so I'm gonna go in day by day right now. But the program is mostly funded through Medicaid. Medicaid and managed care pay for pros completely, which is really amazing because I think the program is amazing. And most of the time, if people have Medicaid, they don't have access to more intensive or specialized services. So I think that's one of the really special things about pros. We do get some state aid as well. People who have Medicare or private insurance, often it doesn't cover pros. So Medicare, it never covers. And some private insurances pay. Sometimes people can get like case by case arrangements with their insurance company. Aetna pays sometimes. It really depends. But we work with folks to do a sliding scale based on their income, and no one's ever turned away if they can't pay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any more questions for Heather? Heather, this was a great presentation. It was very informative and not so long that we couldn't keep up. So that's always perfect.
All right. I'm happy to answer any questions that come up. You can just get a hold of me here.
Thank you. That's great.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I don't see any other people with questions, so I think you're free to go if you'd like to. You're
I will
welcome
do
to
that.
stay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, let's see what's next on here. So we're going to meet the new mental health clinic director. Harmony, would you like to introduce or anything words you want to say before she introduces herself, or just go ahead?
Sure. I do want to add, it's unfortunate Heather just left already, but our pros program, to brag on it a little bit, is really considered a model program for pro services in the state. They often look at our program to see how pros should be done. So it's something really to have a lot of pride in, that it's run so well, and that we attract people from all ages, all walks of life. It is a program that's really quite diverse in nature, and which tends to be a struggle for other communities where they don't tend to get as many younger people that want to participate in the model. So it's just a really vibrant service. And so I'm glad you got to hear a little bit about that today with Heather. Hillary Riley is brand new, and I got to say, a great sport, because I asked her on Friday if she would be willing to come and meet with you today. And she said, yes, I'll come in person. I'm happy to stay for your entire meeting if you'd like. I'd love to get to know people here. I think you're going to find that she just brings a wealth of knowledge. She'll talk a little bit about her past experiences and a leadership style that people have already. I think you said, Hillary, that you thought there would be like this pause, like this period of time before people just started inundating her with all the things, you know, and there was no pause. There was absolutely, everyone was just like, yay, Hillary's here, we love her, and let's go. She's been at full speed from day one, and we're really grateful to have her here. Oh, there's light. Oh, I paid a bill. Okay. Take it away, Hillary, if you can see, now that you're blinded.
Thank you. And yes, I'm really excited to be here and to meet everybody in person this soon, coming here. I really am grateful to get to see all of you and meet you. Today is actually my 1 month anniversary of being at the clinic. Thank you. So a little bit about myself. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I got into the field about 10 years ago and started in foster care. I had wanted to do community building actually, and but I took a job and I really fell in love with it. So I worked at a group home in Elmira, working with teenagers. And then I transitioned over to Finger Lakes Residential Center in Lansing. Really similar population, just in a kind of on a different road, I guess, you could say. So I did that for a while, worked directly with the youth and their families. And then I transitioned to residential program director at the William George Agency. So there I supervised the critical care, or now it's called hard to place unit, which was about 70 beds of teenagers. And I really enjoyed that work. Really enjoyed providing supervision, clinical supervision. And I did some work in the admissions department looking at intakes as well. But I really always did want to get back to the community and work in the community. So when this job opened up, I was very excited to learn more about it. And I left my interview kind of feeling like this was really the right place. I asked everyone in the room to kind of talk about what they liked about working here, and they really genuinely showed, they kind of all lit up when they were explaining what they enjoyed, and they genuinely showed really compassion for the population and working with clients and serving the community. I think everybody said something about serving clients in the community and how important that is to them, and being that person for them when they don't have anyone else. They also talked about a lot of community here at the clinic and having people that they can talk to when they're having a bad day. And it just felt like a very inclusive, supportive, and professional environment. And after being here for a month, it's true. I mean, there's a ton of professionalism, experience, knowledge. As Harmony said, people are coming to me with problems, but they also have solutions. And they're ready to work on them. They're saying, let's sit down and make a plan. And when you're working, when you have this many clients that you're working with all the time, sometimes people aren't motivated to continue to work on things, and they kind of get into this crisis mode. And I don't feel bad. I feel like people here for the long haul, and really trying to think, years down the line of how to provide services. So it's been a really great experience so far. Still trying to kind of get to know everybody, get to know how things work. I was pretty impressed. We did serve about 2,500 clients last year, which I feel like that is a huge number. About 500 of them were children and youth. We're now up to 12 satellite schools that we're been pushed into. To be able to really meet the kids in school, get an assessment of what's going on with them day to day, and then work with their families. The Brown Road Clinic that opened up in the other whole health building in November is serving about 170 clients right now. So what we have right now is 3 children and youth clinicians that are able to go into the schools during the day and then meet with families up there in the evening, which makes it a lot easier for them to get there in the evening out in some of the rural parts of the county. And they're able to get there a lot easier and closer, really. So that's been great. Currently, we have 2 adult clinicians up there. In a couple of weeks, we'll have 3. Really trying to slowly build the caseloads up there based on what clients want. So there has been a lot of outreach to figure out where the best place is to meet, where clients want to meet, where it's going to be convenient for them. And they're going to actually, feel like their needs are being met and they can attend more appointments. So that's been, sounds like it's been a process that's been going on to get it going up there, but it's starting to really pick up now. We also have 2 peer specialists that were hired in December, I believe. They have done outreach services to about 80 clients already. So we're also really trying to work on different ways that they can engage. Just to make sure that clients feel supported in every way they possibly can. So those are a little bit of the newer services that we're providing at this point. And I can try to answer any questions that people have, but I think I really want to hear from everyone now that I have this chance, or whoever would like to share, just if there's any services or you know, things that, any maybe suggestions you could give to me or, things that you're seeing maybe the community needs more of. I'd be grateful to hear from any of you.
This is just a comment. I'm really impressed by the fact that right now you said you have 12 satellite offices and schools. I mean, that's incredible growth. And I'm very heartened to hear that because I think bringing the services to where they're needed is really important. And I know schools have, you know, struggled to provide the amount of services, especially since COVID. So that's really heartening to hear.
Yeah, and the clinicians are really glad to go in there, and it's just it makes it so that they can ensure that they're actually meeting the kids and they don't have that extra barrier of trying to get to them, kids trying to get to them. So
I think all of the things you're sharing, you know, I think your trajectory, I think we're really excited that you're here in the clinic.
thanks.
One question I had as things have been expanding in the schools and at Brown Road, what's the current status in terms of intakes, whether intakes can be completed for Brown Road and at the school satellite clinics?
Okay, yeah, so I actually just met with the intake team earlier today. So currently their open access is only at this location. However, they are doing intakes up there. And if somebody comes down here and there's an intake appointment up there, they are offering them to go up there and see a clinician up there if it's easier for them. And that's actually given us more availability to see people down here during open access. So it's actually already kind of helping to spread out. And I believe the school, so it's kind of a mixed model at this point because they can do intakes at the school or the parent and the child can come here. But if they really can't get down here, they are doing it right in the school. There's just some issues trying to get, you know, technology. It's not the same technology in the school as here. So it's one barrier that they're working through.
I had a quick quote, sorry. It's a great array of services. I'm always impressed by what the clinic does. I was wondering, is there a way that you measure consumer satisfaction? Are there surveys once a year or when they come in or out or anything like that?
So I do know that we do surveys, but I'm gonna ask you.
We're actually up to quarterly at this point. So we are trying to do that more rapidly and more often and through things like QR codes. And so we're trying to give people more opportunities to do that rather than just a written thing that they find in our lobbies. So in the past, it was a written one, and now there's a lot more ways to give us feedback. So we've been getting a lot more feedback because of it too. So we'll have one in the next 3 months again. So we'll have another one going out.
That would be great to hear at one of our meetings about, you know, where that stands.
Mhm.
The last one I looked at, I was really impressed by some of the comments. Like you could tell people, you know, surveys are always a little skewed. You get unhappy people and you get people who are really happy. You don't usually get the middle of the road, but there were so many people. It was clear they filled the survey out because they named their clinician and they wanted them to get credit. They really wanted to recognize them in some way. And they had so many wonderful, just little stories about what someone had done for them. And it was really heartening to review all of it was of course, you have a few people that aren't happy with different things and whatnot, but it was overwhelmingly really positive information. So it'll be interesting to see how we do. And it is great that there's more opportunities for people to do it in a way that pretty much everybody's got a cell phone. So they can still do a paper survey, but trying to make sure that it took a while to get us technology up to date. Our survey also ask questions around, I think, like demographic information, diversity questions, inclusion, and feeling included, making sure people's belongingness needs are being met. So we really took a lot of time in developing the questions in the survey.
That's great. I've always been interested in how we measure consumers' satisfaction.
Another quick question about the satellite clinics. I know that at least in several of the satellite clinics, the providers' schedules are full up at this point. And throughout the years, we often see that, there's openings at the beginning of the year and then they really fill up. Is there any plan to increase the number of clinicians at the satellite clinics or other approaches to increasing the ability to see when we have more kids wanting and being able to sign up for meeting with a clinician, but not as many clinicians?
It's been quite a while since we've been fully staffed in that unit for a long period of time. And we actually are backfilling a position right now as well. The 2 new satellites that are open are slowly building, so they're not.
They're already full. When I last talked to Hannah, like last week.
Right, slowly building since November, I guess yeah.
Oh,
So they do fill up pretty rapidly, it's true. But as far as growth over the last 2 or 3 years, we've gone from, I think, 3.5 staff to more like 6 staff. So we are trying to address it. We have been changing up internally how we do positions, and we added, what did we add, 2 years ago? And then we added 1 more. So we've been trying to address it. The ledge has been approving us addressing it, but it's growing faster than we're growing for sure.
Yeah, the need is really big. I think it's also important to mention that we have a clinician who goes over to the village as well, and we're looking at other opportunities to expand services out in the community for kids who maybe, for whatever reason, they're not able to go to school. They got kicked out of school, they're having some challenges and that sort of thing, and making sure that we're providing opportunities for everyone. But we clearly could have more clinicians working with kids in schools. And it would be great if we could expand the number of hours, not necessarily the number, but it is a slow build, and we continue to look at, are there other agencies that could be partners who could do it as well? Does it have to be us? A lot of things to think about.
The village has been, the satellite clinic at the village, just anecdotally, has been really successful. I've heard from several youth and from village staff, and that provider is also now full up until the summer. So wonderful, wonderful things.
Is there any effort, this is way out, sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead, Larry, you go
try
first.
next question.
I have a quick question about the peer specialists, or I think that's what they're called. When you say they're doing outreach, can you explain what that is? Outreach to get people connected to the clinic? I mean, I'm interested.
So the peers are meeting with clients a lot, in between with clinicians, but then they're also doing things like going out to their home. And so if there's something on the treatment plan that, says about anxiety leaving the home, right? They'll go out to the home and actually work directly with the client to try to get, different types of paperwork completed, or maybe they're just going to kind of review some coping skills with them. So they're trying to do a lot of increasing engagement with the clients so that they can come into the clinic more often. And working with families and parents of the children as well to try to see what they need and just to give them that kind of lived experience perspective on things.
Yeah, thanks.
Was he done?
Yes.
Oh, thanks, Larry.
I also have a question. It's piggybacking on what Jessica was asking about, but it's more broadly, how long, do you have a wait list? And if so, how long does it take for someone to get, the services?
I don't know, actually, if we have a wait list right now.
We don't have a wait
Yeah.
list. No, people can get in and get services. In terms of school, sometimes it's hard, like there's so many slots in a school, but that doesn't mean you couldn't get services for your child somewhere else to the clinic or something like that.
That's pretty amazing, 'cause I
Yeah.
know, we've had conversations, especially around COVID, how difficult it was for, especially children, to get services, the wait list and so forth, so that's really heartening to hear.
Yeah, I think we're in a much better position and because of our staffing is in much better
Yeah.
shape.
Yeah.
We had some of those challenges around people retiring or deciding to go into private practice and do full telehealth. And then the civil service exam was offered at the same time. So it was the perfect storm because you can't hire when they're getting ready to offer a civil service exam. So we had people leave, and so we had this gap where we had staff leaving, but we couldn't yet fill. And that really impacted us a couple of years ago. And unfortunately, I think the message is still out in the community. Oh, it takes forever to get in, and so we're really trying to help clean that message up, clear that up for people that they know, no, you do have access to care. And we do a lot of things differently now. We've added peer services that can be in between sessions. We've shifted to a lot more groups. It's taken us a couple of years. We still want to get more groups going and having people, learn what kinds of groups work. And that's been a bit of a challenge for us, but we've expanded the number of groups. So really we work with people around, like maybe you see your clinician every other week, but you can do this group on the weeks in between. A peer could contact you as well. So we're trying to build a more robust plan of care around people and get services started much more quickly. And I know we have a slide that shows the length of time it used to take for a person to start. And we're still trying to figure out how to do things better. So maybe we don't have to have every assessment we do done within the first couple of sessions. And we can, we are looking at what did the OMH regs really tell us we have to do, and and how did we maybe interpret them, and there might be more space for people to get some of that stuff done over a period of time, which would be a more trauma-informed approach, because we've been doing a lot of work on being more trauma-informed in our delivery. And we also are providing more services out in the community directly, where we're able to give injections to clients and their homes, providing groups over at the Eastside building, the Lakeview's property on Route 13, not blanking on the name, but you know where I'm talking. But we are able to do some groups and some programming right there and have our nurse practitioners. We have a nurse practitioner going over and doing a program right there on site, where we know there are a lot of people with needs, but they're not necessarily going to come into our building.
That's great. I mean, that's amazing, what's been accomplished.
And all since
Given the
COVID,
challenges,
right?
yeah, given the challenges.
Travis had a question.
This is a wild question, but I've lived in this town a long time. Is there any thought about measuring the impact on kids and return rates in adulthood? I think it would speak volumes to the power and impact
What do you mean? The
Well-
like return rate of what?
of need of service in adulthood, whether or not it happens. And it's a tricky thing to measure because, someone knowing about the service and accessing it may not necessarily be a reflection of a change. It may be comfortability. There's a lot of things that you'd have to measure, obviously, but with this many things happening in the community in different schools, that seems like something we would want to pay attention to if we could capture somehow.
Yeah, I think it's a challenging thing to measure because people lose touch and it's hard to find them. But people were willing to provide, if they had the same contact information or.
Not as hard in this town.
Yeah, because you would.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, you would hope that with therapy that they're receiving, that they're going to be building the skills, the resilience to, to manage their, wellness.
I know Youth Services this year is planning to outreach to all the schools. And that's part of some information we can gather. We had 3 Ithaca High students, young ladies, come to one of our meetings, Health and Human Service Committee, the last one, and that was part of their class. So they came there, and then we've seen more and more students come. And so at the end of the committee, they come and have you sign their paper that they came, and we talked a little bit. And so I asked the three girls, like, what do you think about mental health? And they opened up. And they said, it's not talked about enough. People, I know people need help. And they did, I mean, it was just like, they want to talk about it. And I don't think we've asked them enough questions. I think we need to listen to them all. Because they're smart kids and they hear everything, right? So they're exposed to so much more information than we ever were. So I think that communication with kids would help.
Any questions for Hillary? Any more? Or general questions, so you get a little bit of both? We're happy to have you,
Very much so,
and we'd love to hear from you again after you've been here a while.
Yes, thank you. I definitely would love to return after I've been here for a little while.
Yeah, yeah, and before you're jaded, right? I know that.
That's not allowed.
Any final words you have or anyone else?
I just very quickly, and maybe you haven't been here long enough, Hillary, but what do you see as one of your kind of goals for the clinic? I mean, are you, able to kind of think about that now, or are you just still just trying to figure out, the nuts and bolts?
Well, I think both, right? I've started to kind of think about things. It is definitely hard to kind of envision goals, without knowing everything that's going down. So my first goal is to learn everything. But I think that, overall, I'm just hearing this idea with Heather today, collaboration between pros and the clinic. I think it would be great to do more of that. I think just seeing what kind of services are really needed in the community. I know that our community health nurses are really excited about being able to go out to give services and injectables and things like that. They're very excited about that. So I think, taking that barrier away as much as possible and pushing more into the community. And I'm not really sure what that looks like right now, but going to the client more, I think could help a lot of people that just really struggle to get here.
Yeah, Sally. Oh, yeah, Sally has a
I
question.
just wanted to say that my son has been a consumer of the services of the mental health clinic since summer of 2021. And he's regularly sees someone there, and it's been very, very, very good for him. And I just wanted to tell you that the services have mattered a lot.
That's great. Thanks, Sally.
I would just tell you, it's a deeply committed board who want to work together. So please come and share and ask. And got a lot of great minds here. So, a lot of us have been in town for a long time.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Jackie Smith.
And apparently Jackie Smith on there. Oh, Jim, remember that?
Never happens.
Can't say that anymore.
Jackie Smith.
Okay, so I guess we're done with that portion. Any final comments or?
Well, I just wanted to also comment on something that Harmony said about pros. I think that there's a tone that gets set that is about community. And so when I think about whole health, that's what I think about. How do we build those connections and partnerships? And the currency is, I see you, help you. And if people are doing that for each other as colleagues, that trickles down to the client.
Absolutely.
What we try to do with this table.
And it's a trauma-informed initiative, and I think we'll be able this year to focus some more on that. We've been focusing on that for several years now, and the idea that you're not in it alone as a clinician is really, really important. That you don't have to figure out all the needs of your clients and that all the pressure is on you. And I think that creates a lot of the burnout and issues that people have in the profession, is that there's mental health association down the street. There's Challenge that can help with a jobs program. We have so many other services, and the stronger we get at linking people with all of those things, it makes for people to have the support they need to be their healthiest and best in their life. And it also takes the weight off of the staff to feel like, you know, if you watch TV, all you think that matters is that you see the therapist once a week for 45 minutes, and suddenly magically all of your things are going to be resolved, right? And we just know that that is insufficient. And it really does take the entire team, and it takes, you know, all of the people here that help support and advise, and the people doing the work, and all the organizations in our community.
Okay, well, I guess, let's see. We are on to the next item on our agenda, which is the commissioner's job description discussion. And there were a couple items I sent late. Have been distributed by Kron. And she might have a few more if you didn't get one. But I thought I would review like what happened, and Howard, who was on the committee, or Larry and Sally could all chime in with things I'm forgetting.
Stu as well.
Oh, is Stu on now? Oh, yeah. Hi, Stu. Didn't see you at first. Yeah, so anyone on the committee can chime in, but I thought it might be helpful just to have the kind of the order of events that brought this about. And as you know, at our last meeting, our new administrator was here. Is that his position, county administrator? That's what it's called, right? Can't remember if it's like executive director or whatever. But of course, a fund K, right? I believe that's correct. And he got to hear from several of us about our concerns having to do with the job description, having a lot of focus on the Department of Health needs. And I think that grew in part out of some, maybe it not being completely clear on the history and other specifics having to do with when this originally happened, when Frank went into the position. And even then, it wasn't really the way we ideally saw it. But we were hoping at this time it was the chance to have it more, at least as close as possible to being more in line with what we felt the mission and vision of this, of the two departments put together. So we started out with the job description committee, and we met, I think, about 3 times a week, and we were trying to craft the job description, which, if you remember from last month, it was a pretty long job description with a lot of detail. And so that was a pretty daunting task to work on. Sally did a lot of the rewriting for us after we had meetings, so that was very helpful. I think we had about 3 new versions of it as we went along, but what became more and more clear to us is that the whole thing was based on what we didn't see as the focus, what the focus should be if it was going to be really 2 kind of equal departments that have been merged together. So then we decided that a statement summarizing why the job description needs fundamental change was something that could go with the job description as we had rewritten it, was sort of the next step. And that was to preface all the edits that we did. Even though we weren't quite done with those, we thought that was important. Then we got some time pressure from the county, who wanted to post the job by 3/6, I believe, which would be very soon. And they wanted to hear what we had to say about the job description sooner than, you know, we kind of expected. So we had to kind of go a little faster at that point. And I I'm not sure if I'm forgetting one here, but I met with Christina Moylan, Dr. Moylan from the Board of Health. She's the chair. And because I thought it was important that we not get too far, and the group all agreed on this, and when I say I really mean all of us, that we didn't get too far without knowing that we were still in line with what the Department of Health wanted. And of course, their edits had been very similar to what we were doing, but it was still an important conversation. And that went very well because pretty much we were very aligned with the ideas that our group had, and she and her board had. So the next thing we did was for Howard and I to meet with Jeremy to explain our position and decide on some next steps. And we thought this made sense, of course, because he's the acting commissioner at this point. And then Jeremy, after we talked to Jeremy, he suggested a statement summarizing the points made in our meeting, which Howard drafted and did a great job. So I sent it to Jeremy, who then, we're still under a time crunch here. So that statement then went to the Board of Health before their meeting. They were having a meeting, what is it, Tuesdays, right?
Last Tuesday, yes.
So they got it in time for their midday Tuesday meeting, and they went into executive session, I believe, to discuss it and give us any feedback. And basically the feedback was that, they agreed with everything that we had stated. And in the handouts, one of them is what Howard had written up as kind of a summary statement based on our conversation with Jeremy, if that helps to give you an idea where we were with it. So then Jeremy forwarded our statement to Corsa with his own introduction, meaning Jeremy's own introduction.
Dan, has that been sent out to us?
Has it been sent out to us? Was Kathy's question.
No, because it was happening kind of quickly. So, yes, Jeremy's statement didn't go out, right? So.
I haven't seen anything, so I don't know what.
Right. Yeah, I apologize for that. I think that was probably my oversight because things happened very fast last week and they were taking a fair amount of time to just planning all these different meetings and then attending them. So there wasn't a lot of time to get that straight so I could get that sent out.
That's fine. I'm just wondering if there was something else that was sent out to us for our meeting tonight.
I did send a couple things as attachments, but very late in the day. And one was Howard's statement and the other was Corsa's reply to our statement.
Okay, that's what I'm saying is I haven't received that, so others may not have also. So I don't know what.
Yeah, do you have it in your email or can't you look that up?
That's what I'm looking at, and I don't have anything.
Oh, I wonder if it's because I did reply all to
just a few people, it wasn't everybody.
to Karan's email that sent out the original attachments.
Oh,
for
all right,
the
all right.
board.
Okay, I do see.
I'm sorry.
I do see now way down at the bottom.
Copied on the
Yeah.
email, okay.
Yeah, 434.
Okay,
Okay, so to carry on, so let's see, next. Corsa then sent that email to Christina Moylan, Dr. Moylan, and I, and that's where we've settled at this point. The important thing about tonight is there's still room for all of you to give any feedback or thoughts you have about the whole thing. We have pretty much decided that it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to do any further crafting of the job description. And that was in part because Jeremy gave us some feedback about what he'd learned about county job descriptions and civil service and so on. And they are, just what did you say about them? They're just complicated and it's hard to change things because they use certain words and phrasing, right?
Yeah, I think there is room to give feedback on individual lines still. I don't want anyone to feel like they can't do that. But them making those minimum requirements, something that you could then match your stuff to when it's not tied to being the public health
Right.
director, is an important first step. And then there would still be room to make sure that any mental health terminology that you want in there should be in there. Will they have to use certain terms to score it correctly? That part is true, right? That they'll have to use some terms that you may not be used to. But I don't want you to feel limited on giving feedback to individual lines. But at that point, we were trying to make sure that Corsa knew we needed this to not be just the public health director as a minimum. So
Right.
if he can make that happen for us, then we can make the rest of the job description match the new minimum qualifications.
Well, I think based on what Corsa came back and said, it sounds like they're trying to recraft it. And
Mhm.
so obviously, when that comes back, if it's out of whack or
Mhm.
we still have suggestions, that's definitely a time to give them to him. But I meant right at this moment, why I didn't send out the job description that we had been working on was because it's all kind of summarized in this statement, even though I hate that we've done all that work, but I don't think it would really be that helpful at this point. Mostly, we just want to know that people agree with or don't agree, if that's okay too, or have any additions to the general statement about what we're fundamentally trying to get at with this job description. And then the job description committee can continue to take it from there if there's more tweaking or additional meetings. Howard, would you like to chime in with anything?
Well, I mean, I think for the group that met and Sally did a great job in coming up with a new draft. Sally, you've made a remarkable comeback here that you're with us tonight already. That's wonderful, wonderful to see you. I think that for this group, the gist of the comments, the feedback that came from the last board meeting, the last community services board meeting, was, as Jan has said, the concern about restricting the search to only individuals who met the Department of Public Health minimum qualifications either now or would commit to doing so within 2 years. And so, I think from the committee's perspective, the board had a lot of concerns about that, and certainly the committee did as well. And so, as Jan has said, we felt that we really wanted to, and it was helpful to talk with Jeremy about this as well, because it really made sense to make sure we'd address that issue prior to dealing with the details of it. So I do think if I'm guessing from the sense of the previous meeting's discussion that there is agreement about that, but as Jan says, that's certainly this is an opportunity if people want to add thoughts about that would be nice to hear. But then the next step is moving to the concrete job description. And there I was just wondering, Jeremy, what do you recommend about that, given where we are at this point? Do you recommend that I guess I'm not quite sure now what we're reacting to, because the sense of the email that came from the new administrator was that there were going to be some significant revisions to what they had been working on. So I think we've been somewhat reluctant then to jump in and start sending them our own thing if they're going to be coming up with a new version of it. But you may be more aware of where they are in that process than we are. And I'm hoping you could provide some guidance to us about that.
I think that if you don't want to have to rewrite the whole job description because you don't know what you're responding to, that's perfectly valid. I think you want to know what you have to have in there. Imagine what this is as an integrated position, as a leader that can do both public and mental health. And the edits that you've already made that you really want included in that type of job. I would be ready to share that when they respond back. Sounds like you've done a lot of work and maybe there's some consensus around what those things are already. Because they will give us a timeline again, right? Once they are done with theirs, they're going to want it kind of quickly responded to. So what parts you have to have in there, they may not word the way you would word. So be ready with that feedback, or if you already have it. And I can take it now and give it to them as is, or you guys can meet again. They've got some work to do, so they probably won't get back to us this week necessarily on that. But there's going to be things that they will not include that you would have wanted included, and you're going to want to kind of be ready with what are the things that have to be in there for the mental health side of things.
So maybe one more meeting of
Yeah.
the job
Yeah.
description committee group would make sense too, because there was a lot of work done, but it was, it got sort of focused on this sort of overarching issue.
Yep.
And it would probably be helpful to go back and then look again at some of the details that are there. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, as I was saying, I just meant that I didn't send it out to everyone because, all the job description changes, because it's not as relevant right now as it will be as we move forward with whatever course it comes up with. And Kaki had her hand up.
Yeah, I guess I just, I'll ask the bottom line kind of questions. To be honest, I felt gaslighted after the last meeting and when I saw what came out of HR. We've been
speak up,
told for
okay?
years, and Frank kept making very clear that, the intent was to create a position and create 3 sort of deputy positions, any one of which could move into the commissioner role when that became open. I have yet to see anything that suggests that, say, if Harmony was interested in that position, that she would even make the minimum qualifications. I guess my question for you guys that have been involved in this, and thank you very much for being able to, what I'm sure has been a tremendous amount of time and effort in a very short period of time, to feel like HR and the new county administrator actually hear or have any intent to address what are really bottom line issues for us, as opposed to just, oh, well, gee, we're going to have a hole in the director of health kind of thing. And so that's what we have to look for. So I don't know, because I haven't been part of the group. So I guess what I'd like to know is, have we gotten beyond that gaslighting?
I think if I heard all that, sorry, it's hard because of the volume that's in here. It sounded like from Course's response, I don't know if you've had a chance to read.
I did just read that, and I'm encouraged by that. I was encouraged by what he said at our last meeting, which nothing came out of. So I guess that's what I'm asking those of you who have been interacting in this. Do you have a feeling that we're actually being heard, or are we being placated?
I do think that part of his response, Kaki, is to how the feedback that you all gave at that last meeting. And then we have sort of, with the statement that we provided, and then certainly on my own, trying to reinforce, and then the Board of Health reinforcing that everyone has the exact same concern, right? That it not be tied to, meeting the standard for either OMH or DOH, that any of the 3, like you said, could do that. So it went from a hard stance of no to the email that we got here, and him agreeing, and him hearing me out and saying, I agree that we need a leader rather than just tying it to a small group of people. The thing that you're saying that we don't have yet, which is a response, right? We don't have a job description that now no longer has that as a minimum qualification. So I don't have any word on them having that complete or what they found with the state. I will say on my own, I've also asked that, we talk with the state if we have to. If their response is something other than what we like, that we need to talk to them about what does integration look like then? If we are integrated and they are supportive of integration, and this is the way we propose to do it, do we need a waiver? Do they just need to understand a little bit better what our circumstances are? So I would continue to push there as well, that they need to fully understand what we're trying to do here and then be able to give us the appropriate answer. So when we come back with, okay, here's our plan. We've hired this position and here's who's going to meet the minimum clause. It could be a deputy, or it could be the commissioner, or it could be, like you say, any of the 3. that they agree to it, right? That we can make the best decision at that point, once we've hired the best leader that we can. That's been my stance to him, and Corsa has been receptive to that. And I think he came into our meeting last time with a message from HR that it had to be one way a little bit, because we haven't talked to the state yet. And I think you all convinced him that we needed to pivot because we've delayed putting the post out to take your recommendations into account. I think that's I don't have any other promises beyond that, I think.
Yeah, I think this is still a work in progress, so there is a little bit of underlying concern about whether this is going to come out in a way that is what we consider ideal, or at least keeping with our goals with it. But we just kind of have to wait and see at this point. But as you said, be ready to respond when they come up with something new, because based on his email, it sounded like, okay, the ball's in our court, we're gonna work on this. And so we're trying to give them time to do that.
Well, I'm heartened if you guys are feeling like there is a dialogue going on.
I do, yeah.
What did they say? Dialogue.
She's heartened if there's a dialogue going on.
That you feel that there's a dialogue.
Yeah,
Yes.
Randy, I look to
I feel
you.
like I can talk to him at any point. I've talked to him separately as it is, so. Yes.
I think Corsa understands, as well as HR, that expanding the pool is really important because it's really difficult when you don't have a lot of applicants, right? So I think they understand that well, so. It's gonna be discussed again, I think, in the Health and Human Services Committee meeting next week, I think.
Right, Jeremy, is it premature to make that call to the state now and just say, this is what we're trying to do here?
No, I think that's where they're at right now. That's where Corsa and HR should be.
Okay.
If there's any question as to what way we can go, they've got to talk to the state.
Okay,
to
okay.
Ensure that, yeah.
Okay, so you anticipate that they will talk to the state?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Unless they think they can just make the change without doing so, right? If they feel like, okay, we can just make this happen, that's one. But if there's question as to what the minimum clause have to be, then they would have to go to the state at that point, yeah.
So really what we want to hear is whether this is in keeping with what you all understand and feel is right about moving forward.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. That sounds
And
very
Randy,
good.
thank you. Thank you for your work in this and helping others on the legislature to understand where we're coming from. I mean, because a lot of people haven't been involved in this for the last 6 years as we have, and the Board of Health and all of the staff and things. So helping other legislators and helping other staff understand, what the vision is important.
Yeah, and a lot of thanks go to all of the committee and
Yep.
Then you bringing it up in the last meeting, and Jeremy helping along the way. So it's been a great group effort, and I'm encouraged by where we are, but a little bit holding out a little caution, because the first time it didn't seem like it made that much difference. So, yeah. Great.
Jeremy, your assistance with this has really been invaluable, I think. So, is there any room for concern that we might not have access to the latest version of the job description that they come up with in a prompt way? Is there any reason for us to be worried about that, do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, they know you're waiting. I mean, and they've heard from both boards at this point, so I can't imagine it would get much further without bringing it. You're the one that they need to respond to at this point. There's no one else to respond to. It's the two boards. So, and I'll keep after them and make sure that that's the thing that happens next.
Very.
So is the job description group gonna meet again, or are we gonna wait to hear what?
We're gonna meet again soon.
Okay,
Howard or I will send out an email with some suggested times based on the schedules we heard before.
okay. Did you just send that out, or? Cause I didn't see it in my Outlook.
If there's already one out, is there already an invite?
No,
No,
we haven't sent that yet, Larry,
Okay.
we'll be sending it, tomorrow probably.
Okay,
I'm hearing all that. Thanks for interpreting for me.
You know, you guys can send emails to every legislator and I would suggest you do it if you feel strongly about it. It's pretty easy to do and tell them your points and they're the ones that make the decision, so I would do it, and we don't get enough emails because when we do get them, we read them. So
So Howard and I have talked about going to the legislature, but we kind of were trying to go up the chain and try to get cooperation going that way.
I think
But I
that-
don't know if anybody thinks differently at this point.
I don't think
The
it's,
work in progress.
yeah, I don't think it's saying that somebody's not doing the job, it's just that you feel strongly about something and you want the legislators to know it.
Mhm.
I mean, I'll share what you've shared with me, but I mean, I'm only one voice, so it's important, and you guys have been here before, right? Right? So, I mean, you know,
Yeah,
there's your chance.
very angrily here before. Well, thanks, everybody. I appreciate all the listening and backup on this.
Yeah,
And
appreciate
the
your work.
ideas
It's
too.
amazing.
So. Are we ready to close out this, or does anyone have any final words to say about it? Okay, well, let's close out this conversation and go into executive session. Which Mary will be talking about a candidate or two. I think one, right? Can't Mary, is it one candidate?
Yes, one candidate, right. And Jan, you kind of took the lead in this situation. Do you want to present the?
Well.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
turn off the.
Okay, can I have a motion to go into executive session? And a second, we have both, so all in favor of that? All right, so we are in.